Hi everybody, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Here we are on a cold and windy and wet bloody Tuesday evening. Winter's here, isn't it, finally? So anyway, I had a little package come today from Ed over at Premium Hobbies, and got a couple of new things to show you. So quickly just go through what we've got coming. These are the Ushi van der Osten Trinity Splatters, they're called, and then we've got Trinity Splatter 2, and these are basically masking, they're PE masking sheets. You basically place them over and paint through them and get all sorts of different effects, and I need to learn what to do with them and how to use them. But once I've done that, I will show you. I'll do an unboxing or unbagging review, and we'll actually use them. I've actually got a couple of kits over here that I'm getting ready for doing this sort of stuff with. I've also received the full set of Modeller's World premium varnishes. Now, the big thing with these is apparently they are UV proof. So we've all seen it where you do your models in your varnish and your lovely white cars and stuff, and the sun gets to them and they all turn yellow. Well, apparently these are anti-UV, and they're guaranteed to not do it for years. I think it's as guaranteed. I have to check up on that. But the biggest benefit with these is the fact that they are acrylic, so we can do our enamel washes and everything on them. We can spray them over enamels, we can spray them over acrylics. They are really designed for the airbrush, although I guess I'll do a trial. You could actually try them with a brush. But they do a matte, a semi-matte and a gloss. The two biggest advantages with them is, one, they come with a dropper. Okay, so you can drop the right amount into your airbrush, okay, and then it also says you can suck it back out your airbrush as well, which a lot of people go, oh god, you shouldn't be doing that. But it doesn't matter. If your airbrush is clean and it's not contaminated, there is no problem in taking stuff from your airbrush and putting it back into the pot. I always do, I always have done, and I've never had issues. So there we go. The other thing is they talk about a thinner for this for these, and I can't think what it's called now, but it's Modeller's World own thinner. And I've never even noticed it before, but I had a look on Ed's site today over at Premium Hobbies and found that this thinner is actually, it's a magic thinner, and it thins anything. And apparently it will thin AK, Viejo, Tamiya, Mr. Hobby, yeah. So I've got a bottle on the way because it's the only thinner they recommend for this. I will try some different thinners with it. It is slightly, I mean, I think it's slightly too thick out of the bottle to use with an airbrush. I don't know, maybe it'll be okay, but I think it's probably best to just knock it back a touch. But anyway, that's those. So I've got the thinners on the way. Once the thinners comes, we'll do a review of those and we'll see how they work. I've also got a box here that came from Bulgaria. Ooh. And that's basically that. What we're going to look at today is these are new Infini products. Now, as you all know, since I've sort of not partnered up with but become friends with Ed over at Premium Hobbies, I love the Infini sanders, and you can see here I've got the Infini sponges, I've got the Infini zebra sticks, I've got the Infini matadors, and I've got the Infini PE sanders, all of which I use now on all my kits and I absolutely love. The only time you'll see me straying away is now and again you'll see me use a Flory skinny stick. Okay, and they're all good, but Infini don't make those yet. If they did, I would use them. The biggest problem with these is they all wrinkle up, as you can see. And that is not a problem with the Flory skinny sticks. They all do it. And it's the trouble, if you bend them, obviously, you're stretching this side and you're compressing this side. So it's going to wrinkle. That's just what's going to happen. It happens with the matadors as well. If you overstretch them, over push them, you can see you will get wrinkles in them. Okay, so there we go. So these are their diamond taper files. Now, you know that I've used, these are their clear files. You've seen me using these and you've probably seen the review I've done of them. And they're basically glass files, and they're very flat and very hard. And there you can see through them. And they're very good for flat areas, for removing sprue nibs and stuff. And they also leave an amazing finish, which is a nice touch. You also know you can get these ordinary sort of files, and then you can also buy ordinary industrial diamond files. They're not really much good for modelling because they're very, very coarse, What files are really ideal for is taking the edges off of PE parts, removing the nibs, and if it's too coarse, obviously it just grabs the PE part and messes it up. Whereas if you've got something nice and fine like these, then you're not going to make too much trouble. So these are actually, they come in two widths. There's the 6mm and the 2.5mm, and they're all in medium, fine and super fine. The grits, I'm guessing, are going to be like, I don't know, 220, and then maybe 400, and then 600. I'm guessing they're going to be the same. Now, you need to be very careful what you're buying when you buy diamond files, because as I said, one, you've got the issue with them being too coarse for modelling, and you don't really want anything too coarse. Obviously, if you use it on plastic, it's going to tear it up. If you use it on photo etch, it's going to just grab the photo etch and destroy it. You want something nice and fine that's going to glide over the surface. So be careful what you're looking at. The other thing is, I don't know if you know, but diamond files, when they're actually plated onto steel like these are, then basically it's done by electroplating, and I have been involved heavily in CBN grinding in my work with Delphi and my work with Prima Dental. So basically the way it's done is it's electroplating. They put crystals or diamond particles or CBM abrasive particles, whatever, and they actually electroplate it onto a wheel with a steel backing or a steel material. Now, the quality of that depends on how carefully it's done and the process they use. If you don't get enough plating, then obviously, if you can imagine, I covered this surface here with a glue, and I had the glue only like 0.1 of a millimetre thick, and then I glued these bottles down to it. These bottles would easily tip over. So if you imagine this is your grains of diamond, if the electroplating is not very deep, then it's what called undercoated, and basically the diamonds will just break off easily because there's not enough holding them in. If the electroplating is done for too long, or the currents are too high, or whatever, however they do it, and the plating is too thick, you actually get, like, in this case it would be right up to the neck of the bottle, and basically it's great that the diamonds are really bonded in well, but it clogs really easily because you've got nowhere for the debris to go. The way abrasives work, they actually cut. If you can imagine, my fingers are bits of grain. They cut, and what they cut goes down in between the grains, and when you see your sanding sticks like this get all discoloured and full of plastic, that's actually what it is. It's the plastic sitting in between the grains. So if the plating is too thick, then you've got nowhere for it to go. They just clog up straight away, and when you're in industrial grinding and stuff with CBM wheels, it's an absolute nightmare, because obviously then everything just burns because you get all heat generated. So and then what happens is you get the heat generated. So what happens is it melts the electroplating, and then the diamond actually gets deposited onto the surface that you're grinding. And then actually what you're actually doing is you're converting your part into the grinding wheel. So you end up with a smooth, beautifully shiny, polished wheel, and you end up with a diamond impregnated part, which is all burnt and black and blue. But anyway, enough of that. So basically it's always worth buying the best you can afford when it comes to diamond files. These things come from a pound shop, they're a couple of quid. But as you can see, on this one, it's basically worn out. There's no sharpness left to it. It's just like a load of large lumps of diamond deposited, but I've been using them in the garage as well, so I don't ever use them on plastic and stuff. I use them on metal. So but these are really, really well made, and they're designed to be used on plastic. You can use them on metal, you could use them on glass, solder, whatever. Because they're made by electroplating, you can scrub them, you can probably heat them under a lighter and get plastic deposits out of them. You could wash them off in solvents, wash them under the tap or whatever. So the beauty of these is, as I say, they're both the same shape-wise. They're both sets are tapered on the end. So what you've got is, on the end you've got this, you can see it comes down to a point. Okay, I think it's about 0.3 millimeters wide, they say in their bump. I did see, yes, 0.3 millimeters, there you go. It says 0.3 millimeters wide, and then 1.5 millimeters at this end, so it's 1.5 there and 0.3 there, which has many, many advantages we'll talk about in a second. And they are plated all around, which is nice. They're not just plated on one side or anything, and you can see the plating is going on there for, how long is that? The actual tool itself is 130mm long, and we've got 50mm of plating, which is good. I've seen some where the plating is only just on the very end. So this is the medium, then we've got the fine and the super fine, and as you can see the super fine is very fine indeed. Now this tapered end is going to come in really handy if you've got something like, you know, if you've got very wide panel lines in a kit, you could get in and reshape them with this. You could get into grooves and stuff. If you've got holes in a part that you want to get in and file out, these are the same 0.3 and 1.5. So if you've got a hole in a plastic part where you've got a mould seam going around, I was looking for some cheaper kit parts to show you, but we've all seen it where you've got a square slot, say like this part here, okay, like on this gum breech, and you've got a hole going through, and basically you've got a great big mould seam around there, so whatever has to go in won't fit, and you can't really get in there with a knife. It's really difficult. Well, the beauty of these is, because this is the medium, because they got this tapered end and they're really fine, we can get in there and just quickly clean that out. Easy as that. Now you can see these metal files won't even go in there. It's too thick. Okay, they won't go in there at all. So that's the beauty there. These things are amazing. And because you can also do solder and glass and metal and all sorts, if you've soldered, let's do this exaggerated for you. If I've soldered a pin through a hole, say this is a little like 1mm hole, and I've soldered a 1mm piece of brass, and I've got a great big tulip of solder sat in there, I can get in here and file these out. And because they're all the way around, they're plated and they're very square on the corners, they're also very good for getting edges. Now I've been looking at this part here. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the sprue. Okay, and then this part here, this is part of a belly turret. So I'm going to take that off the sprue. You can see there I've got the sprue nib sticking out on there. So I'm going to remove that sprue nib. I can get in there with my cutters. Okay, do the same over here. Where's the next one? There's the next one there. Okay, and then I can now get in with this really tiny file. Now this is the fine, so this is the middle one. So I can get in between those. You can see we've got these raised, around here we've got some raised parts. Okay, and then in between those raised parts, they're just circular nubbins. And in between there we've got the sprue nibs. So we can get in between there, and we can just file that sprue nib away. Now you can even use the side of the file if you want to. Come in with the fatter one. So what I'm going to do is, just to stop the file riding down over the edge, I'm just going to trim that with a knife, because what's happening is the file's trying to jump off the sides. Okay, so we just trim that with a knife, as you would do when you're building your model, and then you can get in between there and just file that out. As I say, you can use the side of it, and then we'll come in with the superfine, which I believe is that one. Yep, and then we can polish the plastic up. And there we go, that's that sprue nib dealt with and gone. Now I've got nothing else in my sanding arsenal that would get in there. As you can see, a skinny stick is too wide. It's too wide to get in there. These things are going to come in extremely handy. You can see as well we've got a seam line all around there as well. So we can get in there and sand that away. We can get in between the nubbins with the side as well. We can just use the side and nothing else. And because we've got this lovely sharp square corner on here, it's getting into the corner and getting everything nice and clean and blended out. So we can see there, when we look in the close-up, we can see that it's all cleaned up. Just going to take a little bit more out of there. I need to get some new glasses, girl. I'm afraid I think my eyesight is going bad, and I seem to have to do all my work now through a magnifier. So yeah, but anyway, so that's the really handy part there. The other really handy thing is, it's like if you look at this part here. Okay, if we just nip this off the sprue, if we take the excess off, you know, when we get parts where they mould the actual sprue nib onto the surface we're going to glue, we see this a lot. If we actually remove the excess here, now these are actually short, you can see they don't quite go into the corner, but sometimes the sprue nib will go actually into the corner, so these will be really good for getting into that corner and getting rid of that sprue nib, as you can see there. And you can see that because it's got that nice square edge, we can get right into the corner. Okay, and we can sand that away until it's done. And the other thing you can do, of course, is do my old favourite trick. Go with a magic marker, make a mark either side, and then you can file away on your sprue nib, and then when the magic marker disappears, you know everything is flush. There we go. And then we can come in with this is the fine, just to clean up. And there we go, and we've got a nice squared out corner. This, because they're hard, you know, we're not coming in with a sanding stick and giving it all the wobbling around and everything. Because they're hard, they're going to leave a nice flat surface. You're not going to end up sort of radiusing or embellishing the end off. You're getting right into the corner, so you're removing any sprue nib in there and doing a really nice job. So yeah, very, very handy little tools. I should be using these a lot. And as I say, the fact that they're tapered, meaning you can get into these tiny little slots and clean them all out. And because you've got the, look at that jammed in there now, because you've got the square corners, you can get into these little slots and clean them out. And actually, you know, get the mould seam out of there and your job done. It's like in there, you can see this part here, we've got a slot in that part there. Okay, you can see, I put my finger behind it, you can see the slot there. And if we've got any, like, you know, seam lines or anything in there, we just get in there and just clean it out. So, and also for removing seam lines in parts like this, we can get, let's get the, this is the fine, this will do, this is the super fine actually. So we can get in there and file them away. And also because it's got this taper on it, we can get right into the corner down there, right into the corner down there. There's another thing, guys, because it's a diamond file and not a normal file, you can use it in any direction. Okay, a normal file, because it's got teeth cut in it, you see it's got lines cut in it, it will only file in one direction generally. Whereas with these, you can go in circles if you want to. You can do whatever and get your parts all cleaned up. So there we go. They are the Infini diamond taper files. As I say, these are the 6mm. So there's the fine there, there's the super fine, and then there's the medium. Okay, so that's the set of those. And then you've got the same in here. We've got the fine, the super fine, and the medium in those. These are 6mm wide, they're 2.5mm wide. The actual section of them is exactly the same. So really, really handy little tools, very, very handy little tools to have. As you can see on the back of here, the price on here is £16. I think these are probably from the show, from the Telford show, because Ed would have done special prices, as all traders do for the shows. So, but they're £16.95. But don't forget, if you want to get some of these, NMB10, that's Nigel's Modelling Bench 10, will get you 10% off of the £16.95. So that's £1.70 off. So that should be £15.27 or something like that. So but well worth it, and they're going to last you a very, very long time. As I say, because they're diamond, they're not going to wear out, as long as you don't go mad and start using them on silly materials and stuff. But yeah, and as I say, you can clean them off, swill them off in some thinners or whatever, and they'll be absolutely fine. Wash them under some hot water. Should be able to clean them. Let's see if this works. Should be able to clean them on our denim. Yeah, seems to work. There we go. Seems to have cleaned it up. So there we are. Thanks for watching, guys. As I say, stay posted. I've got lots of reviews coming for you, and I've got the clear coats, got the splatter PE guides, and I've also got the Bulgarian box as well. Bye for now.